Our scripture reading this morning is from the epistle of Paul to 2 Thessalonians, to the Thessalonian church. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and we will be reading the entire chapter. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, beginning from verse 1 all the way to verse 17. And shall we all rise as we respect the reading of God's holy word? We'll read this responsibly. I will read the first verse, and you read the second, and so on till we read together verse 17. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm reading from the NASB version of the Bible. Reading now. Now we request you, brethren, with regard to the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together to Him.
Not be kept considered or alarmed by some prophecy, report, or letters which will come from us, saying that the other of the Lord has already done.
Let no one in any way deceive you, for it will not come, unless the apostasy comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction. Do you not remember that while I was still with you, I was telling you these things?
Now you know what I'm doing, so that He may be revealed at proper time.
For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way.
And then the Lord will be revealed, the Lord Jesus will overthrow his strength and destroy the splendor of his coming.
That is, the one whose coming is in accord with the activity of Satan, with all power and signs and false wonders. For this reason, God will send upon them a deluding influence, so that they will believe what is false. But we should always give thanks to God for you, brethren, beloved by the Lord, because God has chosen you from the beginning for salvation through sanctification by the Spirit and faith in the truth. So then, brethren, stand firm and hold to the traditions which you were taught, whether by word of mouth or by letter from us. Let us read verse 17 together. Comfort and strengthen our hearts in every good word and word. The Lord truly blessed reading these words to all who receive. Last Sunday, we were worshiping in Santa Clarita and preparing to our church after the worship service. Do you talk about the worship service after we're done going home? When you're at home? You say, I can't talk because I alone. Well, talk to yourself. You should at least reminisce or evaluate what you have seen and heard. And I told my family that like every church, no perfect church, but there were so many commendable things that I've noticed. First of all, I noticed they were sincere, you know, from those that I observed. They were sincere. Are you sincere when you come to church?
Amen.
I noticed that they were sincere. The exposition was excellent. According to my grandson David, he understood what was taught. It's more like really a teaching thing. It was very, very excellent. Many other things that I can comment on the negative side, I noticed that they lack reverence. You know, some people, they lack reverence. Some people wears hat inside the church. You know, you shouldn't be wearing hat inside the church. It's irreverence in terms of tradition. I noticed that people are drinking coffee while in church. We're not here for some kind of seminar training. Even in some seminar trainings, people may drink coffee or water out there, but when they enter the gathering, all drinks has to be left in. So in that area, I believe they lack reverence because they treat the house of God as like an ordinary. Do you know that this is a special place?
Amen.
You shouldn't bring things in here that doesn't glorify God. If your cell phone will not glorify God, leave it at the door to the ushers. That is, if you can trust them. There are many things. But anyway, in keeping with the message last Sunday, do you know the title of the message last Sunday? Those of you who were here?
What kind of church are
There you go. I'm glad people are listening. What kind of church are we? Yeah, so the main thrust of the message was we should be out there witnessing to people. How many of you went out to witness this past week? Tell somebody about Jesus. Glad to hear it. I was changing the tire of my vehicle and waiting for my turn. I talked to this Hispanic guy. And I got his name and his phone number. I'll give it to Pastor Joel later. Lives in Concord with 3 young kids, 18 to like 70. And he doesn't go to church. I was surprised because he's Hispanic and most Hispanic go to church. Catholics, that is. And he's friendly. And we had a nice conversation. Talked to him about Jesus, the importance of coming to church, bringing your children to church. So there's an opening because he was glad to give his name and phone number. And then I talked to a Vietnamese guy. He was so proud to show me his 2 sons in Marine uniform. And I talked to him about Jesus. He's Buddhist, but he said, I have a crazy co-worker, a son of a pastor. He wanted me to become Christian. And I'm surprised because he said, a crazy guy. You know that if you are all out for the Lord, people think you're crazy? Yeah, that's what people say. Until they become a Christian and people start calling them crazy too. But if somebody will call you crazy, it's better be because of the Lord.
Amen.
Because some people go crazy on money, go crazy on fame, go crazy on drugs, and so on. I'd rather be called crazy for Jesus.
Amen.
After all, He's coming soon. And we're now on part 3 of our message on the second coming. So, prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you that you are here in our midst. We pray that you'll come and meet our hearts and mind through the Holy Spirit. Give us power to understand, see. Give strength to your poor servant, Lord God. Possess him and empower him. Hide him behind Jesus, that He alone may be seen and heard. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. One of the reasons why we should seriously consider the second coming of Jesus, and not only because we're already tired of this world and we want to see those promises that are given to us here in the Bible, not only because of that excitement that we have, and we should be excited. One reason we should spend time in this subject is because there are people out there who don't know about these things, don't believe on these things, and aren't prepared for these things. Now, is it okay if I turn the thing up or you feel cold? Got a little warm up here. And we consider this is our third series on the pre-tribulation rapture position, and we have pointed out that several considerations, and that is, when we talk of the people of God, there's only one people of God in general, but in specific they come in four different ways, or different groups rather. We have the Old Testament saints, as David spoke of the saints during his time, and we have the New Testament saints, and then we have what we call the tribulation saints, people, and then we have the millennial saints. What we meant by that is that there are people of God in the Old Testament who acknowledge God, worship God, and so on. And in the New Testament, we have people who are called the church, who worship God like what we're doing now. And during the tribulation period, those who would not accept the mark of the beast because of their faith in Jesus Christ will be martyred or put to death, and those people we call tribulation saints. They got saved during the period of the tribulation. Others were saved during the period of the Old Testament, were saved in the time of the New Testament. And then during the 1,000 reign of Jesus Christ, there will be people saved, because many will come in the millennial kingdom with a physical body like ours, not necessarily Christians. And those who were born during that period, they're not born as believers in God. They have to make up their own mind, just like everybody else. And there are people who will not submit to God even at the reign of the Lord Jesus Christ. So those who will be saved during that period, we call them millennial saints. And so that's how we divide these people of God in four different categories. And we say that the common thing about them is that they're all saved by grace, regardless of which period. And they're all saved by faith in God. And ultimately, they are saved by the blood. That's the common thing about them. And so when we talk about the rapture, we're dealing with not the Old Testament saints, not the millennial saints. The millennial saints are not that anymore. We're dealing with the church. That's the subject when it comes to the issue of the rapture. We're dealing with a specific people called the church. And we have come to at least two proofs last Sunday, or 2 Sundays ago, regarding the position of the pre-tribulation rapture, meaning the rapture will happen prior to the Great Tribulation period. In this position, the pre-tribulation rapture make distinctions between the second coming and the rapture coming. That there are two specific events. They are not one and the same. They are considered second coming, but we can classify them as the secret coming and the majestic coming. And last week we said that in the first proof of the pre-tribulation rapture, we said that in the second coming, which is clearly revealed in Revelation chapter 19, verse 11 to 21, if you read that passage, you could clearly see that this is the second coming of Jesus Christ, where He is coming, riding on a white horse, majestic from heaven, coming down, where every eye would see Him, like what Jesus says in Matthew 24. But in that passage, Revelation 19, verse 11-21, He's riding in front of His army. All His army, all dressed in white linen, riding on white horses, following their king, their conquering king. And this army coming down with Jesus Christ is coming from heaven. So obviously, they are already in heaven, coming down with their king, the Lord Jesus Christ. And there was no mention of resurrection in that second coming. There was no mention. So, if there was no mention, if the resurrection is such a big event, how come it was not mentioned there? The answer by the Pre-Tribulation Rapture, because the resurrection of the church already took place before the second coming. This event already happened. And this army are not angels. They are clothed in white linen. This attire was the one promised to the church, to the saints. And so, the Pre-Tribulation Rapture says, this is the church of the Lord Jesus Christ following their King, their Lord, in returning to this earth. And it will be seen by the whole world, majestic in His coming. And proof number 2 is that in Zechariah, here again is the return of Jesus Christ, Zechariah 14, 1-15, and there was no mention of the resurrection. If the resurrection is such a big event, how come it's not mentioned? Because the answer is, it already took place ahead of the second coming, of the majestic coming. So, we come now to point number 3, the proof. See, in the Bible, there are 2 different pictures painted in the Old Testament about the coming Messiah. The Old Testament spoke of the suffering Messiah. Isaiah 53, 2-10, Psalms 26, 6-8, and 11-18. Now, I'm just going to read to you briefly some of what is said in this, what we call the suffering Messiah, that the Old Testament has spoken. Verse 2 of Isaiah 53, we normally read this during the Easter service. For He grew up before Him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of parched ground. He has no stately form or majesty that we should look upon Him, nor appearance that we should be attracted to Him. He was despised and forsaken of man, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and like no one from whom men hide their face. He was despised, and we did not esteem Him. Surely our griefs He Himself bore, and our sorrows He carried. Yet we ourselves esteemed Him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. That chastisement for our well-being fell upon Him. And by His scourging we are healed. He said, verse 7, He was oppressed and was afflicted, yet He did not open His mouth. Like a lamb that is led to slaughter, and like a sheep that is silent before its shearer, so He did not open His mouth. By oppression and judgment He was taken away. And as for His generation, who considered that He was cut off out of the land of the living, for the transgression of my people, to whom the stroke was due, He gave his graves was assigned with the wicked, yet He was with a rich man in his death. Because He had done no violence, nor was there any deceit in His heart. But the Lord was pleased to crush Him, putting Him to grief. If He would render Himself as a guilt offering, He will see His offspring, He will prolong His days, and the good pleasure of the Lord will prosper in His hand. Now, clearly this is speaking of Jesus when He was first, or when He first arrived in this world. He grew up, no one really acknowledged Him as Lord, God, and King, because He became like you and I, and ultimately He was crucified for our sins. And we're supposed to be the one who received those stroke, those whipping that it fell upon him. That was the suffering Messiah. It also speaks of that in Psalms 22. It says, "For dogs have surrounded me, and a band of evildoers has encompassed me. They pierce my hands and my feet. I count all my bones. They look, they stare at me. They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." Now again, here in this psalm, it speaks of Jesus in his crucifixion, when the soldiers took his garment and played games on it and divided it among themselves. Now that's the Old Testament depiction of the Messiah. There are two Messiahs, the suffering one, and then and we have the conquering Messiah, of course, where Jesus is seen by them as a majestic king. In the New Testament, we have another picture added, and that is the look of Jesus. These two different descriptions of Jesus coming, his coming, point to two separate events. And this is where we call the rapture, and the second coming, we divide them into two. So, in the Old Testament, we have the suffering Messiah, meaning Christ, and then the conquering Messiah, a majestic king, that he will be called King of Kings, and he will rule this world, the promise given to David, his offspring. Now, in the New Testament, we have another picture of Jesus in his coming. One that is clearly a second coming, where he will come like flashing like lightning, where every eye shall see him. And there's a picture of him not being seen by anyone except those that will be resurrected and will be with him up in the sky. That is our text in 1 Thessalonians. Now, we have also another point, and point number 4 is that the known day and the unknown day. The coming of Jesus is both known and unknown. It is what it says. Concerning the return of Jesus Christ, the Bible presents a day when we can't know that day. Matthew 24:13, Jesus says, will return at an unknown time. He will come at an unknown time. No one knows. While Revelation chapter 12:6 says that the Jews will have to wait 1,260 days for the Lord to return. The 1,260 days begins with when the Antichrist stands in the temple and declares himself to be God. That's in Matthew 24. Jesus spoke of that, 15 to 21. And again, in 2 Thessalonians, we just have read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, where we read that he will sit on the temple. This event will take place at the midpoint of the 7-year tribulation. You read that in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. The Antichrist has authority to rule for 42 months, which is 1,260 days. You read that in Revelation chapter 13, verse 4. And will be destroyed by Jesus as second coming, as mentioned in Revelation 19:20, and what we have just read in verse 8 of 2 Thessalonians, the one we read a while ago. So both the coming of Jesus is given to us in an unknown way and in a very known way. Known and unknown days must happen at the different times, meaning there are two separate events that is mentioned as far as the return of Christ. Another point that we can cite is Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Let me just read that to you. Revelation 3, verse 10 says that he will be kept out. Says that we, and I say church, will be kept out of the hour of testing which will come upon the whole earth, meaning the tribulation. Here's the comment of the author. Some have wrongly believed the word keep means to keep through, meaning going through, or protect through the tribulation. In other words, you go through, but you are kept protected. And here is what the author said. Suppose you approach a high voltage area with a sign that says, keep out. Does that mean you can enter and be protected? No, it means you are forbidden from entering the area. But this verse also says, He will keep us from the hour of testing. It is not just the testing, but the time period of the testing. If a student is excused from a test, this is another point, illustration. If a student is excused from a test, he still may have to sit in the class while others take the test. That's true. If anybody here is too smart that the teacher said, you don't have to take the exam. Yeah, I think Pastor Jim probably got that. He looks too smart. If a student is excused from that, he still may have to sit in the class while others take the test. But if he is excused from the hour of testing, he can go home. You don't have to be in class because you're excused from the testing. The church will be called home before the hour of testing. Let me read to you what the verse actually in Revelation 3. I mean, 3 beginning verse 7. It says this, and to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, He who is holy, who is true, who has the key of David, who opens the one and no one will shut, and who shuts and no one opens, says this, I know your deeds. Behold, I have put before you an open door which no one can shut, because you have a little power and have kept my word and have not denied my name. Now, who do you think he's talking about? Now, of course, in this context, he's referring to the Philadelphian church. But he's referring to the people of God here, Christians, church. But not everybody does this. But this particular church was commended because of this. They have not denied my name. That's what Jesus says. Have you ever denied the name of Jesus in front of opposition or gathering? Behold, this is what Jesus said. I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. I will make them come down. I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. Do you know that when you love Jesus right now, I can't really tell, and you cannot tell what's in the heart, but the day will come when Jesus is going to reveal what is in the heart of every man. That's kind of scary because it will reveal that day whether your coming here, this church is genuine or not. You know, like they say, not everyone, it will be a terrible mistake if you think that those who come to church are all Christians. Terrible. But we list them anyway because we can't tell. We baptize them all anyway, but we cannot tell. My son called me this morning, this week. Kept me, I think 2-3 times he asked me, Dad, was I really saved when I was a young boy? Because he got baptized by me too. Because I feel like I got saved when I was in the Philippines, when I commit myself to the Lord. That happened in the Philippines. So he's questioning the time when his mom and I showed him the gospel, and then he said, do you believe that your boy was saved before going to the Philippines? Because he did some foolish stuff, like every young teenager. So. I'm not going to say more because I get in trouble. He did a lot of stuff. It's kind of normal for many of the young people. I'm talking to some young people here. They think a lot of basic. That's why it's good. I really commend Brother Glenn. You know why? He only got 2 kids, but when they're here, they're sitting next to him. Isn't that nice? You know, I've seen that in the Jehovah's Witnesses. You've been in Jehovah's Witness church? One time you go visit, and you see that the whole family sits together. They have no problem. Everybody's disciplined. But anyway, it will come a time, based on this verse, Jesus says, I will make them come and bow down at your feet, and will make them know that I have loved you. Wow, Jesus will reveal that. Jesus promised a time when He will expose everything to the open. That scares me too, because I may be proven, this and that. And here's the reason why Jesus says He will do that. Verse 10. Because you have kept the word of my perseverance. Wow, these people, they were faithful to the Lord Jesus Christ. They were genuine. And because of that, I also will keep you from the hour of testing. That hour which is about to come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. Now, this is for believers and unbelievers. I'm coming quickly. So, this is the hour of testing that will come upon the whole world. And the hour of testing here cannot be other than the great tribulation that will come in this world. In fact, those who will be here during that hour of testing, who are nominal Christians, maybe at this point, they are not truly saved. At this time, many will be saved. Because they will find out all the things that they probably heard in Sunday school, they probably heard sermon, but they didn't really take it to heart. When this time comes, they will come to know that all of those are for real. And they will accept the Lord. That's why we call them tribulation saints. And many of them will pay for their life. But it says here that the Philadelphian church will not go through this hour. Jesus will keep them out of this testing that will come upon what? The whole world. Jesus says that the Great Tribulation, Matthew 24, is an event that never happened in the past, nor will ever happen again. Only for that time period. A tribulation that will never ever happen again, nor have happened in the past. And cannot be more than the great testing that will happen in this world. Now, another point is that and this is connected to this passage in Revelation chapter 4, verse 1. It says, the door open in heaven. The door in heaven is open to let John into heaven. Now, the comment is that we believe John's call into heaven is prophetic of the church being caught up at the rapture. In other words, here's what it says in Revelation chapter 4. After these things, in other words, John is seeing all these visions that are shown